It is really a pleasurable occasion today that we are celebrating the birthday of 4 of our classmates. CMEs will come and CMEs will go, but birthdays will come only once a year. So more than the CME, this birthday is a very, very important occasion for all of us. First of all, from all our hearts, let us wish Karkandu, Subramani, Valavan, and Vijay Lakshmi, our classmates, a very happy birthday by singing the happy birthday song for all of them right now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karkandu. Happy birthday to you. Happy long life to you. Happy long life to you. Happy long life, Subramani, Karkandu, Valavan, and Vijay Lakshmi. Happy birthday to you. So now this is the second edition or the second CME of our Stanley 1985 International Academy of Medical Education and Research. I would like to acknowledge the efforts of Dr. Lata Ravichandran, who has taken a lot of efforts to make this event happen today by pushing all of us for this date. But due to certain unavoidable reasons, she is not there with us. But I know her heart is in this CME right now. And I would also like to mention that our Grandmaster Sendil, he has taken lot of efforts to organize this CME. He is the man behind this organization. He has taken tremendous efforts to do this CME. So, and I would like to place my heartfelt thanks to Bala and Premlata, both of them, for readily accepting to talk on this subject, which is of very great importance to all of us. Most of us may be diabetics. I am a diabetic, so that is the reason why I am here today. So to know more about my condition, and I'll also like to acknowledge the support of MSD Pharma. Please give them a big hand. We are the first company to have sponsored for this our alumni CME program. So it's your name will be there in our hearts for a very long time. So thank you very much for your support, and we hope to do it the same for you too. And without much ado, I would like to welcome Dr. N.T.R. Balasubramaniam. He is the Chairman and Managing Director of Abhishek Hospital. He is a very well-known physician, and I would welcome Bala to take the stage, please.
Thank you. At the outset, good evening to all my friends who are assembled here, and I am grateful to you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you this evening. So, first I give my salutations to my parents, my Guru, and the Almighty. All of us know a teacher who just tells, who explains, and demonstrates, and finally the teacher who inspires. We have seen a few teachers of this sort. One of such is Professor K. V. Thiruvengaram. He has inspired me a lot when I was doing my DNB in Railway Hospital. He is my Guru and mentor, so my salutations to him also. So first, as you all of you anticipate, I should brush up and finish it before your attentive span goes away from this topic. So this is, first is classification. All of you know this classification very well. Only thing I would like to tell is, I am going to deal with 2 and GDM, type 1, and the specific types like MODI will be dealt by Premlata. Now, criteria for diagnosis has been there for quite some years. All of us know that. Just a revision or brushing of our memory. 6.5 A1C, 126 fasting, 200 2-hour plasma glucose, OGTT. Most of us will not remember this. We will just say post-prandial glucose. It is OGTT. You can take a random glucose 200 as diagnostic, provided the patient is symptomatic of hyperglycemia. He has lost weight, he is having polyuria. If he is symptomatic, you can take this. Otherwise, you have to do OGTT and say this. And look at that, it is or. Any one is sufficient. But the catch here is again it's a repetition. Fasting 126. 126 means you have to fast for 8 hours. Then this OGTT should be done with 75 gram anhydrous glucose. Next, this is what I told. In a patient classic symptoms, a random glucose of 200 is sufficient. Now, in the absence of symptoms of diabetes, which is unequivocal of hyperglycemia, suppose a patient is giving you a single value of HbA1c 6.7, what will you do? You should not diagnose him to be a diabetic because you are going to give him a life sentence. So you ask him to repeat the same test the same day and check it. More so, in our country, beware, HbA1c is done by so many methods which are not approved by the standard practice. So any lab is doing HbA1c, they don't have the apparatus, they transport the sample, somehow they give the reports. So you don't treat the reports, you look at the patient, and more so when they come with a single report and they are not looking like a diabetic, recheck it. And again, there will be some other instance. Suppose this patient, you are having a fasting glucose of 104, HbA1 6.6. They are discordant. Again, this patient is not symptomatic. He is showing the report. Probably this is done for a checkup for a placement. He is gone for a placement checkup. He is showing the report. What will you do? Will you say him as a diabetic by 6.6, or will you tell him that you are not a diabetic? Here, the safe bet will be to repeat that HbA1c and confirm. Which test you will repeat? You repeat the test which was above the cutoff. Because most of the time, that is the test which is on top. So that is the guidelines given by the ADA. What are today's topic? I have drawn many guidelines from ADA. Caution: these guidelines may not apply to Indians, but these applies to logic. Next, community level screening. Sometime back, we were doing mass level screening for diabetes. That is not advised of late because you go to a remote village, you do a CBG, you diagnose him to a diabetes. Now, the first problem will be you are doing only CBG. You have to do a lab checkup. There will be errors in the CBG vision. So, the patient will be put to mental agony, and he will not know where to go for the follow-up. So, better avoid community level screenings like this, which is being done in in Dubai, in a mall. They are doing checkup. Suppose this patient X is told to be diabetic, she will go home worrying. She will not know what to do. You understand? This is for an affluent society is different story. For a poor man in a village, you go and tell him as a diabetic. That is not a logic. So the ideal way to screen is whoever comes to you as an attender, your patient attenders, you ask them to get themselves screened. Or you are seeing a patient for some other reason not related to diabetes, ask them to be screened. So that's the best way because you will know the target population to be screened. If you go for a community level screening, you will be screening so many people, it won't be cost effective. You will be spending thousands of rupees for nothing. So that is the latest guidelines given. Now there is entity called pre-diabetes. What is pre-diabetes? See, this we told us 6.5, 126, 200. Less than 5.7, 110 and 140 is normal. In between it is called pre-diabetes. Now pre-diabetes is not a specific disease, but it is a predisposition to diabetes, and all the pathological changes which are happening in diabetes have started here. So they say, what is the difference between two persons? One with HbA1c of 5.8 and another with HbA1c of 6.2. Both of them are only pre-diabetic, but you tell them, if you see a patient with HbA1c 6.2, you caution him very much. You tell him that you are almost nearing the finish line, so you have to be very careful. You check him very often than this person with 5.8. So that is the significance of HbA1c in pre-diabetes. Next we go to diabetes management. In diabetes management, it is a very big topic. I just give you only a bird's eye view. Now, what are the modalities? First and foremost, medical nutrition therapy. Never forget this, because the first instance is the best instance to impress upon the patient on this. If you fail to impress and give him a prescription, lifelong he will not be impressed on this, because he will realize the difference of the diet without even the tablets. That in the first instance, when he is more mentally oriented towards the disease, at that time he will believe whatever you say. He is so receptive. So use that first instance to tell him, guide him for the medical nutrition therapy, weight management, which includes the exercise. Now, then comes the drugs. Drugs, insulin is the drug of choice, but we don't start insulin for everyone. We'll see what are the indications for insulin in the first instance. Then oral anti-diabetic drugs. Then injectable anti-diabetic drugs. This is the latest entry. So far we had only insulin which was injectable. Now we have non-insulin injectable anti-diabetic drugs. Now this alternative and complementary therapies are there. Then the ultimate pancreatic and islet cell transplantation. This pancreatic transplantation is attempted when you do a kidney transplantation. Simultaneously pancreatic transplantation is done and they are cured of the diabetes. Now this is a list of drugs. There are 11 oral anti-hypoglycemic drugs, anti-diabetic drugs, 1 insulin, and the 13th is the GLP analogs, which are the injectable anti-diabetic drugs. So there are 13 broad classification of drugs. First and the old and the gold one is the metformin. It is a age-old drug. Still, it is very effective and relatively safe. Metformin acts by the AMP kinase. It blocks AMP kinase, reduces the hepatic glucose output. Most common side effect will be diarrhea, B12 deficiency. You cannot use in CKD. Creatinine clearance less than 45, you should be very cautious. So that is the main thing, and it is very cheap. Coming to sulfonylureas, you can see that some time back, glibenclamide was left and right used. Now that has been pushed to the last, because glibenclamide is a very potent sulfonylurea. If you see some patients, some of your patients on glibenclamide, if possible, try to stop and change them to a less potent sulfonylurea, because this will hasten the beta cell death. Okay, so these are the 4 sulfonylureas. They act by blocking the potassium channel, and the main adverse effect will be they may cause some weight gain. Metformin will cause weight loss. This will cause weight gain, and they are cheap, and they are more prone for hypoglycemia. These sulfonylureas are very potent drugs. Then next drug is meglitidenide, mipaglinide and naticlinide. They also act as the same mechanism as sulfonylureas. They block the potassium channels. The advantage of meglitidine is a business executive who is traveling, he will be taking his lunch at odd hours. You can prescribe this drug because it is a very short half-life, relatively less hypoglycemia compared to the 13 sulfonylureas. And comes to thiazolidinediones, pioglitazone. Rosiglitazone is taken off the list. Pioglitazone acts by the PPAR gamma mechanism. Main adverse effect will be water retention, weight gain, and what you call osteoporosis, fractures in elderly women, and you should not give it cardiac failure. Next will be the alpha glucosidase inhibitors, acarbose, Oglycos, and Migditol. In the ADA guidelines, this drug is comfortably omitted. They have neglected this drug because most of the American diet will be rich in proteins. Indian diet is rich in carbohydrates, so we should not forget to use this drug. This is a very useful drug in our armamentarium. In the American guidelines, they mention that it is less effective, but it is not the fact with Indians. They are rich in carbohydrate diet. The diet rich in carbohydrates, so we can use this drug. Now, DPP-4 inhibitors. Today, the sponsors are marketers of the sitagliptin. DPP-4 inhibitors are relatively recent entry to the armamentarium. We have 6 drugs. They act by they inhibit the dipeptidyl peptidase 4. So what happens when this enzyme which degrades the glucagon-like peptide and gastric inhibitory peptide are inhibited, the naturally occurring incretins in the body, they have a longer half-life. So they have a hypoglycemic effect. GLP and GAP1 are the naturally occurring incretins. They act by increasing the insulin secretion and decreasing the glucagon. So this is the first group of drug which acts at the glucagon. So far we were thinking only about the beta cell. In the diabetes, alpha cells are also a disorder. Glucagon is in excess. So these drugs block the glucagon. The main advantage, the disadvantage with alpha glucosidase inhibitors is they produce flatulence, some oily diarrhea. And DPP-4 inhibitors, you have to be careful with pancreatitis, but because we have not practically seen, and they are weight neutrals. They don't cause weight gain. Next will be SGLT2 inhibitors. Further down the line, these drugs have come in. They are sodium glucose cotransportase inhibitors. They are the transport receptors found in the proximal nephron, proximal tubule of the nephron. So when the glucose reabsorption is blocked, hyperglycemia comes down. Here again, the main caution you have to take care of is they can cause fluid dehydration. They can cause urinary tract infection. They can cause hypotension. That is the problem with these drugs. Then now here ends the active drugs. After this, these three drugs are not so effective. For completion's sake, we have mentioned virus executive questions, coricivilam, dopamine 2 agonist, amylin mimetics. So far I have used this drug in only one patient. And that too, there is no other go. He is using all the group of drugs. So that's why for his satisfaction he started. Amylin mimetics are the only oral drugs which can be used in, apart from metformin, can be used in type 1 diabetes. They also act on the glucagon pathway. They reduce the glucagon. And the other main important mode of action for DPP4 and the next drug is again this PPR alpha and gamma is not actually a hypoglycemic drug. It's an anti-lipid drug, has anti-hypoglycemic action. Now this GPL1 receptor agonist, exenatide, liraglutide, and these 5 drugs are there. They are the glucagon-like peptide. You are endogenous, exogenously you are giving. DPP4 inhibitors block the destruction of the endogenous glucagon-like hormones. Here you can give the hormones from external. So these 5 are the drugs. They act by again increasing the insulin, decreasing the glucagon. And the main advantage of this group of drugs is they cause weight loss. And actually off-label use is there. We have seen doctors using this drug for a non-diabetic for weight loss. So such is the effect of the weight loss of these drugs. And these drugs act also by decreasing the satiety. So if you put a patient on DPP4 or GLP-1, he will not be able to eat. He has satiety early. So there ends the group of drugs. Now coming to the how to initiate. The initiation is very simple. A patient with HbA1c of around 7, 8, fasting and postprandial around 100 and less than 200, 250, you can safely start him with metformin. Provided there is no contraindication, the only contraindication will be CKD. That is the only known contraindication. Theoretically, so many things are given, but practically that is the only thing you have to be careful. Start with metformin. Suppose the HbA1c is 9. Never start with a single drug, go for a dual therapy. Dual oral drug therapy. That will be metformin plus something else. So metformin is the baseline for everything. Now the HbA1c is 10 to 12. Blood glucose is around this range. Here, never think of an oral drug. What ideal would be to start him only on insulin. There are 3 ways of starting insulin. It can be a basal plus or basal bolus. But the thing will be to start him only on insulin for a few weeks, reach his glycemic control, then add a oral drug, slowly taper it and withdraw insulin. So this is the method how to initiate. And you have initiated metformin monotherapy. After 3 months, you are seeing the HbA1c. It is not come to target, still 8. So now you can add metformin with sulfonylurea or any of these drugs. You can even start a basal insulin. How to decide on these drugs, which drug you will start? That depends upon the patient profile. Patient, whether he is affordable, patient is a thin fellow, patient is already obese. You can't think of starting with isolate diet. And so many things are there. So you decide, this is a very costly drug. You can't straight away put him on GLP-1 receptor agonist. Sulfonylurea, you have to be very careful. You have to be, so the second drug depends upon your rapport with the patient and what you have understood of the patient. Next, after dual therapy, the third, there are 3 months of dual therapy. The HbA1c is still around 9. Now you have to add a third drug. The third drug, when you have done already metformin and sulfonylurea, can be any of this. Like this. You see thiazolidinediones, DPP4, SGLT2, GLP-1. If you already added thiazolidinedione, you can add any of this. So these 2, there is no problem. But when you go to the next stage, you have already added a DPP4. You are not allowed to add a GLP receptor agonist. You can add anything from the group as a third drug, but GLP-1 receptor agonist is not allowed because we saw that both act in the same pathway. It is theoretically not allowed. So far nobody has given us a guideline, but people are using it. Studies are there. Future down the lane there will be some guidelines which will add GLP-1 receptor agonist here. So similarly, when the second drug was a SGLT2 inhibitor, you cannot add a GLP receptor agonist. Now next, the second drug was a GLP-1 receptor agonist. Only these three can be added. You can't go for SGLT2. And suppose the second drug was a basal insulin. You can add these four drugs. So this is after 2 drugs therapy. 3 months you have waited, HbA1c not up to target, you can add a third drug. Now insulin, suppose you have started the patient on insulin, how will you titrate? First is, this is basal insulin. Here you have the basal bolus. In between, basal insulin plus 1 mealtime insulin like lunch. Suppose the patient is taking heavy lunch, you can give insulin in the lunch. Or you can have a premixed insulin twice daily. So this is 1 daily injection, twice daily injection, thrice daily injection. This titration and all, I think it is not needed to discuss now because it will take a lot of time. But generally you start with the low dose. Every 3 days you check the sugar and step up the unit by 4 units. Then again you check. It needs a titration very carefully till you reach a fixed dose. But one thing I would like to reiterate here is one of the durable sugar control is attained with insulin. Once you have fixed a dose for a patient insulin, you will have his sugar control with the same dose. It is not like with the oral drugs. Oral drugs, they are likely to, the patient is likely to progress to failure. Failure rate with insulin is less. Now coming to the recommendations. So our target will be 7, but even less than 7 is also allowed. The patient is not going to get a hypoglycemia, you can target even less than 7. Preprandial will be around somewhere, this is the target we should reach. And postprandial will be less than 180. This is for a normal, non-pregnant, healthy adult. But this you can't apply for a old adult, for a CKD, you have to give some allowances. Now that ends the management of diabetes. Now coming to the allied topics with diabetes, obesity. As you see in this picture, Indians are obese in their tummies. Unlike your Western counterparts, they are obese all over, their whole body is empty. We Indians or the Asian population accumulate obesity in our abdomen. So we are having visceral obesity. So that is the main culprit for insulin resistance. So as you see here, the international BMI is different from Indian BMI. International BMI till 24.9 is normal. But you see the Indian BMI, it's only till 23. 23 to 24.9, which was normal in the international standards, is overweight. So our Indians are lean obese. We are structurally lean but obese by metabolic obesity. Now, how will you manage obesity? Here I am giving a case scenario. A 46-year-old male, his BMI is 34. You are seeing a patient. He is newly detected diabetic. His fasting was 180, postprandial 250, HbA1c was 8.5. His BP was 146/100. His waist size was a very whooping 50. What is your advice? Now these are the options with you now. Because it's a newly detected, you have to give lifestyle modification. You can choose anyone from this. What will you choose? So remember, these are the points. 34 BMI. His sugars are not to the level, and it's not to the level to start insulin, and his BP is like a metabolic syndrome. He is a patient of metabolic syndrome. Now, just brushing to the anti-obesity drugs. I included these slides because for anti-obesity, what happens is we don't have any effective drugs. These are the drugs given by the ADA, but here we commonly use only orlistat, and we use some other native drugs which are marketed by companies which has a herbal combination. But there are available drugs like this selective serotonin receptor agonist, sympathomimetic amine antileptic combination. You can go through this, it's available in the ADA guidelines. And opioid antagonist, aminoketone antidepressant, and finally, as I told you already, liraglutide. Even for a non-diabetic, this is prescribed for obesity. Now, the answer for him, I would advise lifestyle modification for anyone. Metformin. Metformin will produce weight loss. I will advise alpha glucosidase. DPP-4 is weight neutral but can be advised. SGLT2 will be very much advised for him because it causes good weight loss. GLP analogs, if the patient is affordable, very good. It can be prescribed for a non-diabetic. And finally, anti-obesity pharmacotherapy can be given. Now the question, the patient is asking you, sir, I want to look smart, like a film hero. Can I go for bariatric surgery? What will be your advice? The advice will be no, because the guideline says any BMI above 35, you go for bariatric surgery. The reason for no for bariatric surgery, most of the time your relatives will be asking you, my daughter is so fat, can I take her for bariatric surgery? Kindly advise them not to go, because after bariatric surgery, in a patient without compelling indication, they will have some decreased quality of life. They may have a decreased food satisfaction. After eating for some food, some quantity of food, they feel satisfied. They may like to eat more. Understand? So, bariatric surgery is advised only extreme obesity when the diabetes is not getting under control. Patient is having a severe cardiovascular risk factors. Is very much immobile because of obesity. You can go for bariatric surgery. It will not be advised, like nowadays marketing industry has grown very much. So they advise bariatric surgery for even for good looking shapes. So that is not the case. There are other ways to try before. You try all these methods. If that is not working, then you go for a bariatric surgery. Now let's come to the atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. This is the new terminology for the previously what we called as a cardiovascular disease. So what are the risk factors? These risk factors are used in the score. The score which is called which is used to calculate for I'll tell you the score. So for this score, what will you do? We'll start with an example. First we'll go to the risk factors. The risk factors is age, age, sex, race, diabetes, family history of premature atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, that is men less than 45, women less than 55. Some of your family members, male less than 45 or less than 55 has cardiovascular disease. That includes the family history of premature atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, hypertension, smoking, dyslipidemia, and albuminuria. Now aspirin, will you give it for a female 55 years, BMI 26, 20 years diabetic? She is not a known case of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. That means, will you give aspirin as a primary prevention in this patient? She is on oral anti-diabetic diet drugs like levopride, metformin, vildagliptin, HbA1c 7.3, LDL 130. So, what are the guidelines before deciding should we give aspirin? The guidelines are cardiovascular risk, 10-year risk more than 10%. Now, again, this is American guidelines. For them, cardiovascular disease occurs at a later age. For Indians, cardiovascular disease occurs at a younger age. Dr. Ravindra was telling to us, one of our juniors, 2 years juniors to us, had a sudden cardiac death in Madras Medical Mission. So, Indians develop cardiovascular disease at a younger age. So, for us, the Indian Atherosclerotic Society has advised, instead of this 10-year risk score more than 10, 5 also is okay for us to start the aspirin or statins. So, we should be very cautious, and rather than this 10-year risk score, there is another score called the lifetime score. That lifetime score should be taken into account for starting aspirin and statins. So this I took it from ADA, so you can go through our Indian guidelines, which is available in the Indian Atherosclerotic Society, IAS. And most men are prone have smoking, and they will be having a risk factor. Women, most men and women with diabetes, age 50 years. So 50 years is the cutoff given. So at least one additional major risk factor and are not at risk of increased bleeding. So aspirin, practically anybody age 50 is a diabetic, naturally he will be having hypertension or some other risk factor, cholesterol will be high, start him on aspirin. It is not harmful. So what is the dose of aspirin? Now in this lady, you can see that her LDL was 130. So you can start an aspirin. She is a female, age 55, two factors are there. She is a diabetic, LDL 130. So you can start on aspirin. Now what is the dose of aspirin? 75 to 162. For primary prevention, we most often prescribe low dose aspirin like 75 or 150, depending upon the thing. Another thing about aspirin is it has there is an entity called aspirin resistance, which is very difficult to measure. So we have to start aspirin with whatever dose the patient is able to tolerate. Now hypertension. In hypertension, this thing we have to be remember. The patient should have his feet on the ground, back should be resting on the backrest. Hand should be rested on the table. He should sit for at least 5 minutes before reading the BP. So this is the ideal way, what you call standard method how to measure a BP. Now, another thing is coming up of late. BP when your patient is coming to your office may be high. Most of the patients on visiting a doctor's chamber will be anxious. So it will be ideal to measure a home BP. So what is the best method is, a few months back, graduate Prabhu had a meeting in MOV003 hospital and they distributed the digital BP apparatus to all the attendees of the meeting. The aim of that was done by the Indian Hypertension Society. The aim of the Indian Hypertension Society is to encourage patients from checking their BP at home. The advantage is that is the real BP. And even 24-hour ambulatory BP monitoring is available. So if your patient is very educated and is very keen, you advise them to either go for a home blood pressure monitoring or 24-hour ambulatory BP monitoring before starting him on an antihypertensive. So what is the goal for a diabetic? The BP goal. BP goal will be anything less than 140/90. But if the patient is very young and is having like something like that, go for 130. He's having some cardiovascular risk factor. Lower the better. The lower the patient can tolerate is better when he is young. But when the patient is old, in older adults, this will be the lower limit cutoff. Even if the patient is tolerating, if the patient is old, don't go low. Because they have proven by very many studies that the lower you go, the mortality is high. So in an older adult, the cutoff will be not less than 130/70. And what is antihypertensive of choice? All of us know it is ACE inhibitor or ARB. Suppose the target BP is not achieved, you start the diuretic. Diuretic, it is not Lasix, it is indapamide, either non-loop diuretics. You should not use diuretic furosemide. You should use indapamide, hydrochlorothiazide, chlorothalidone can be added. The third drug can be a calcium channel blocker. Now statins. Of late, this is a very debated topic. Why it is debated? Here now just now Dr. Balaji was also telling to me. By giving statins, you are pushing to become a diabetic. It has been very well proved that the amount you push a patient to become a diabetic is far less than the benefit you are giving to him. It has been very much proved by many studies. So you can safely tell your patient, argue with your patient, even the patient can Google and find out. They are clearly mentioning that for when you treatment of 250 patients with statins for 4 years, resulted in one additional case of diabetes. See how many patients. And you prevented 5.4 vascular events. So this is one trial. So many trials have been done and they have clearly established that the rate of pushing to diabetes is far less. So you can safely give. And what is the dose? How much you give? Here again, it depends on the age. When the patient is more aged, the intensity of statin is very high. And if the patient is already has the event, like MI, the intensity will be high. If the patient is not having the event and if the patient is of a lesser age, the intensity will be less. It's very difficult to remember this, but the gross guideline is this. When the patient is older, already is having an event, you should go for a high intensity statin. What is high intensity statin? This is again American standards. Here I have rarely seen patients being prescribed 80 milligram atorvastatin or 40 milligram. This is high intensity statin therapy. What is the target? The LDL cholesterol should come less than by 50%. What is the ideal LDL cholesterol? Less than 100. Nowadays they say even 50 is better. So you are seeing a patient with LDL cholesterol of 120. If you give this, if you can reduce it to 60, that is your high intensity statin therapy. But what I was going through all the articles in Google just now here, but I could not find any guideline on that. But what I could surmise is, we never start statin on a higher dose. We start statin with a lower dose. The main apprehension for us is they are prone for myopathy, rhabdomyolysis, they can go for serious reactions. So we always start with the lower dose. Even with the lower dose, the patients, our patient will come and say, my knee is paining, muscles are paining. So you will not be able to step up the dose. And after starting a lower dose, you check the LDL cholesterol. When it is coming down to adequate, that's enough. So high intensity statin therapy need not be the dose. It can be with a molecule like estimate. Estimate can be added to atorvastatin to make it more potent. Practically, I have seen my patients who are not reaching the target of LDL cholesterol and in estimate, make them reach the target. So this dose you can just note and keep it caution. What is moderate intensity statin therapy is the dose which you are using, and it reduces LDL cholesterol by 30% to 40%. Now statin and fibrate, there are some mixed drug combinations available, but they are not advised because any combination can lead to abdominal transaminase, myositis and rhabdomyolysis. Now statins and cognitive function. Another controversy was this: when you use statins, patients are prone for Alzheimer's. No, that is disproved. It is not correct. Statins will never affect the cognitive function. Now the risk calculator is available in the American Heart Association, and Indian risk is different, as I told you. Its calculation is different. And now coming to the diabetic nephropathy. The latest terminology for diabetic nephropathy is diabetic kidney disease. It has been renamed. Now, how will you screen? For any type 1 diabetes, after 5 years, you check the urine albumin excretion. For type 2 diabetic, at diagnosis, and measure creatinine at least annually, and calculate the eGFR and monitor the patient. This eGFR is very important because for an old patient, normal creatinine itself will be having an abnormal eGFR. Switch off. Next will be the category. Why is this category important? This category is important because anybody who is having a microalbuminuria, after intensive management of the hypertension, diabetes, can revert to normal range. But if somebody is having a macroalbuminuria in this range, with even of your what you call sincere efforts, he is likely to proceed to ESRD. So this is important because you can prognostify the patient. Now, there is acidemia in a diabetic patient. Your patient, you are showing a creatinine of 1.8. How will you be confident in handling him? Will you not be finding it guilt that should I refer him to a nephrologist? You can handle him comfortably, provided you have a proof with you that he is having only diabetic nephropathy, diabetic kidney disease. What are the proofs? Persistently and severely increased urine albumin excretion, like more than 300 milligram, but not to the extent of nephrotic syndrome. If he is having 24 protein grams, then he should be not a diabetic kidney disease. In this range of macroalbuminuria, it suggests diabetic kidney disease. And suppose this patient, the moment you see he is having albumin is more, you send him to a ophthalmologist, you send him to American Eye Care. They will screen and find out whether he is having retinopathy. Most of my patients, Dr. Prakash is saying, if retinopathy is absent, less likely to have a diabetic kidney disease. Similarly, if he is having heavy proteinuria, he is having active urine sediment. You ask for urine protein, it comes as granular cast, pus cell cast, there is some infection. And rapid decline in GFR. This month his creatinine is 1.8. You are starting him on ARB ACE inhibitor. After 3 months, his creatinine is 3. There is almost doubling. You should be very careful because normally the decline in GFR should be only 30% over the period of 3 months. So when those features are present, you refer to a nephrologist. And similarly, naturally you are seeing the patient for 4 to 5 years. Now his GFR has come to 30. It's a known case of diabetic kidney disease. You have patients in the past 5 years. Now he has reached this stage, you refer him to a nephrologist. And such patients, you prime them. Whenever they come to you, you prime them. Where your kidneys are slowly failing, you may need a renal replacement therapy in the form of a dialysis or a transplant, something you prime them. Now coming to gestational diabetes. Again in gestational diabetes, there are so many guidelines to diagnose. This I took a reference from Dr. Mohan's article and I found it practical also. Universal screening at first booking. The moment you see a diabetic mother, the moment you see a mother, just a pregnant lady, you ask for a fasting plasma glucose. Very simple. It is less than 92, she is non-GDM. More than 126 or HbA1c 6.5, she is over diabetes. In between is GDM. So this is over diabetes, more than 126. In this range is GDM. Now, a patient who was non-GDM, you cannot stop with the first visit. When she is coming at 24 to 28 weeks, repeat. You do a single step OGDT using 75 gram glucose. And In that, if you have a fasting 92 or 1 hour 182 or 153, again she is a GDM. So that becomes any one value abnormal, she becomes GDM. If all values are normal even in this stage, it's not GDM. And again the third time you have repeated 32 weeks. Again this GDT. Now one problem here will be, some mothers, particularly in rural areas, when they go to a hospital, they don't go fasting state. So there they call it glucose challenge test can be given, GCT can be given. There you give 50 gram glucose, and 1 hour if it is more than 140, you ask them to come again the next day for a 3-hour OGTT with the Carpenter booster criteria. This is very simple. First you do a fasting in the first visit. You stratify them whether they are over diabetes or a GDM. If they are a GDM, they follow your protocol. If they are over diabetes, again the protocol is there. Now the question is with the non-GDM. You have to follow them again at 24 to 28 weeks with the 2-step, single-step OGTT. If they are not able to come for a single-step OGTT fasting, you do a glucose challenge test and ask for a 3. If it is positive, more than 140, go for a 3-hour OGTT. And 3-hour OGTT, what are the abnormal values? Fasting 95, 1 hour 180, 2 hour 155, 3 hour 140. So if any of this is value is high, it is a GDM. This is the guideline for GDM. Now, what is the difference between the GDM and pre-gestational diabetes? You have to be very careful. Most of our GDM mothers deliver normal babies. But if there is a pre-gestational diabetes, most of them go for malformation because at the time of conception, their sugars are very high. So, when you have a type 1 diabetes patient, a mother, a prospective mother, you warn them if they are going to become pregnant, their HbA1c should be 6.5. Soon after marriage, they should be having a very close follow-up for HbA1c 6.5. And if they are on ACE inhibitor, stop it. If they are on statin, stop it because they are teratogenic. Patients sometimes they come after 8 weeks after menstrual periods. So sometimes nothing can be done. So preferred medications in pregnancy will be insulin and metformin. And glibenclamide, which was coming up a few years back, is now gone to disrepute because they have found that it causes macrosomia. So we don't advise glibenclamide. Some few years back it was advised in government setup. But now, as of now, only insulin and metformin. Now again A1C, few years back we were taught that HbA1c cannot be used for pregnancy, but now they have advised you can use. But HbA1c is normally less in a pregnant mother, so your cutoff will be less. So the target will be 6 to 6.5, even 6 in a pregnant mother, and 7 to prevent hypoglycemia. If the mother is going for hypoglycemia, make it 7. Now again, why should we do a SMBG? Why can't we monitor this HbA1c? HbA1c is a past record. For the past 1 month, the patient is at hyperglycemia. So you don't stress on the HbA1c. For a diabetic mother, the stress should be on a self-monitoring blood glucose. The patient herself should monitor the glucometer glucose, note it down in a diary and bring it to you, or pass the message to you through some communication, and titrate the insulin very actively. You cannot wait for 1 month for your HbA1c report and then titrate. HbA1c is just a guideline. So what is the target for a mother is fasting should be 90, 1 hour should be 130 to 140, 2 hours post-prandial 120. And do HbA1c on a monthly basis. Now again, that's of GDM. Now coming to HbA1c. HbA1c for a standard patient who is stable with diabetic control, twice a year is enough. But if your sugars are fluctuating, you are changing the therapy, do it once in 3 months. And anemia and HbA1c, this is the latest topic which I found. In anemia, what happens? Most of our Indian women are anemic, and they may come to you with the HbA1c of around 8. When they do a fasting and postprandial, that may be normal. But you will be worried why this HbA1c is high. You may think that this patient's sugar is high in the dinner, post-lunch. And you'll be uptitrating the insulin. But what will happen? The patient will go for hypoglycemia. So they have very much proved that in iron deficiency anemia, HbA1c will be high. So if you do a CBC and find the MCV, MCH and MCHC are low, supplement them with iron. When you supplement them with iron, the HbA1c comes back to normal. So instead of increasing the insulin, you have to increase the iron. Give iron to such patients. And the mechanism they have found, this particular molecule which is increased in iron deficiency enhances the glycation of hemoglobin. But if you go into hemoglobinopathy, suppose the patient is having a sickle cell anemia or something like that, it is a complex thing. There it is not straightforward like iron deficiency anemia, there you have to refer. there is a separate ANC assay without interference from abnormal hemoglobin should be used. It's a very rare instance for now, the complementary therapies. Most of the textbooks, most of the guidelines have started mentioning about the yoga and the mudras, different mudras which can control the hyperglycemia.
JP2.
They can have some effect. They should not be called as alternative, they should be called as complementary. Now this is the point which I want to highlight. Most of our patients have some aversion to our OHs, insulin. Their neighbor will be telling that you go to their doctor, acupuncture, they will cure diabetes. So warn them in the first instance. There is no proven cure for diabetes. Diabetes is a controllable disease. So whatever the patients do has to be along with the treatment which you are giving. So like this, yoga can be an effective therapy. And what are the indications for thyroid test? In a few clinical calls, and we are going to finish. Thyroid testing you do in type 1 diabetes because you are looking for autoimmune thyroid problems. And dyslipidemia. Why should when a patient is having dyslipidemia, please do thyroid test because suppose the TSH is high, you are going to start him on a statin, he is likely to go for myopathy. So you reduce the TSH, you bring it to a normal range and then start him on statins. So in all cases of dyslipidemia, you always ask for a TFT. When you ask for a likely profile, ask for a TFT. And for any woman aged 50 years, because in Indian, most of the women after 50 are hypothyroid. Hepatitis B vaccine along with the pneumococcal vaccine, influenza vaccine can be given in diabetes because they are getting multiple pricks for checking the sugars. Now coming to hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is as dangerous as hyperglycemia because in hypoglycemia what happens is their autonomic dysfunction is there. Sometimes they are unaware. So it's a vicious cycle. Once you get a hypoglycemia, his autonomic dysfunction is aggravated and he is more prone to get another episode of hypoglycemia. It's called hypoglycemia begets hypoglycemia. So what we should do is once the patient is having hypoglycemia, reduce your glycemic target so that he is not getting another hypoglycemia very soon for some time. And after that period is over, then you can tighten your dietary control. Now, glycemic recommendations is how will you give the recommendations based on the duration of diabetes. So this slide says on the life expectancy, comorbid, hypoglycemic unawareness, because you cannot give a blanket treatment for all. It has to be tailored. What are the conditions? Suppose you see a patient is having what do you call hypoglycemia. The risk is very high, so you reduce the HbA1c less stringent. A long-standing diabetes, HbA1c can be little less. Life expectancy is very short. You need not target 7. Like so that so many conditions are there. For depending upon the patient, your glycemic target has to be adjusted. But the general targets will be like this. This is the ABC of diabetes. HbA1c less than 7, blood pressure 130/80, lipids, LDL cholesterol less than 100. Hope almost we are going to finish the final case because so far you have been listening to all this what I have told. Now what will you do? A patient age 65 years is a diabetic and hypertensive for the past 20 years. He is on glycoside, metformin, telmisartan, slindequine, aspirin. His BP recorded in the doctor's office. At your office is 120/69, sitting posture, and he is asymptomatic. What is your suggestion? You see, he is an elderly man, 65 years. Diabetic, duration of diabetes is so long. He is on dual antihypertensive. Both of them are in the morning. One thing positive is he is on aspirin. But see this BP. Well, the BP guideline we saw is 130/70 for elderly. So, even though he has no complaints, you have to reduce the antihypertensive. So, this is a chart which shows you, depending upon the patient characteristics like healthy, complex, intermediate, or very complex or poor health, all your targets have to be adjusted, including the statins, BP, glucose, A1C, whatever intervention you give, it should depend upon the health condition of the patient. So I am not going to this chart, but now recommendations, finally foot care. And all in a diabetology meeting they will say you should start with the foot of the patient. Start examining the patient from his foot because most of the time it is neglected or forgotten. And we have seen many amputations happening because of that. So what are the things you will see in the foot inspection, foot pulses, and vibration using a tuning fork, pinprick sensation, angle reflex, and for this what you need? You need a monofilament and a tuning fork. You don't need a wireless imaging or a Doppler. just keep your hand and see. So this is the way you should check your the 10 gram monofilament. You place it on these parts, you hold it place for 1 second and then release. If he is not able to feel, then his protective sensation is lost. So this is the monofilament test. Next is retinopathy. Now in retinopathy, only when there is a proliferative retinopathy, you go for a laser photocoagulation. When there is only a macular edema, many new drugs which have come like VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor macro agents, they are called the bevacizumab. Avastin is nowadays used. Now, this is another latest intervention. We use continuous glucose monitoring. What is the advantage of continuous glucose monitoring? Here, sometimes, as I already told you, patient's HbA1c will not be target, but fasting and postprandial will be a good target. Here you can monitor this. What are the components here? This is a sensor, this is a reader. This sensor is placed in the posterior part. Patient can do all activities with the sensor. This measures the interstitial fluid glucose. This reader can read the data from the sensor even every day. Every 15 minutes, the sugar is measured here, and finally, at the end of 14 days, you get a graph like this. So here you will see what is happening. For this patient, below the median goal, at a particular point of the day, his sugar has come down. So this gives a valuable record of the 24-hour sugar value for this patient. From this, which can chart a graph and probably advise the patient. Suppose he is coming to with a very high fasting blood glucose. You see his 3 a.m. sugars are very low. Instead of increasing the nighttime dose, you have to decrease the nighttime dose. So for that, there is one example where this will be used, and GDM this can be used for a diabetic mother, because some mothers will be reluctant to check their sugar often with a prick. It's a one-time prick and it's a very less painful method of inserting the sensor. So CGM can be used. And finally, this is the last slide. We have apps in mobile phones. We have patient health record portals like Practo. Many of us are using Practo. And we have this electronic health records where patients are given a domain. They communicate with us through them. So they give their reports to them. We respond to them through mails. And we have WhatsApp sites, common health group sites. I have started one site, what's the health group in the WhatsApp, and it keep periodically sending messages to my patients, and they appreciate it very much because nowadays there are so many lay people giving advices. When it comes from the horse's mouth, it's very important. So patients, when they come to me, they appreciate. Sir, whatever message you send me through WhatsApp, I am reading. Kindly continue the services. Thank you.